Welcome to another Wisdom and Knowledge 5 podcast episode. Well, this week I was planning on going north to Pennsylvania to go and see the world's greatest cover band. So I didn't have anything planned for this week as far as the podcast goes, but plans changed. What happened was that the band, who's from Adelaide, Australia, they had problems with their visa, which I don't know. They planned this for about 6 months, so they should have had that all figured out. And I'm pretty sure that they did, and something just transpired. Anyways, so I'm broadcasting live from the beach of North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Thought I'd come out and just, make a video, on location in the sun, just where I'm relaxing and enjoying, the day. With everything that's going on in the world, we got to encourage one another. We got to be a light, so to speak, to one another and try to continue to wake as many people up as possible as to what's going on. Now, I don't care where anyone stands politically. This is humanity that is being affected. When they're saying, you're going to wear trackable wearables, you're going to do this, that, and the other, don't comply. To pay no attention to it, don't comply. And stand up to it and be alert as to what's going on in the world and, share with others as to what's going on in the world because, we are a light. We could be, the one person that wakes someone up who was, lulled to sleep, who was in the darkness, you name it. The world completely, and it's been shifting for a long time, but the world completely shifted in 2020. And so many people complied with the shifting rules of, global leaders, of what happened worldwide, because just about every country fell in lockstep. And, they had papers out on it, they had agendas out on it. And this is fact. This is not rumor. This is not myth. This is not conspiracy. They even had the World Bank even had COVID-19 as a project until 2025. And this was back in early 2020, the World Bank did that. So, and the tabletop exercises like Event 201, Clodex, and the various others, Crimson Contagion, you name it. So, when things are planned and people understand what's going on and they wake up to it, it is making a huge difference in the world and overall. So what we need to continue to do is to be alert. Yes, live your lives. Yes, enjoy what you are doing, but be alert. Be out there. Shut off your news because the news is infiltrated. Whether you watch anything, the news is infiltrated. I myself, maybe I'll read some articles online, but other than that, I watch videos on Instagram, YouTube, you name it, and to find out, what is going on in the world. Because, we have to be alert. We have to be focused. We have to understand fully what they're trying to do. I mean, I never would have thought in this day and age that something like me going to a concert would be canceled because of visas. I mean, I've never seen that before. And I'm sure that the Hindley Street Country Club, who I was going to see, had everything in order because they planned this concert 6 months in advance into at least, if not a year in advance. And for them to have to cancel every single U.S. concert coming all the way from Adelaide, Australia. I mean, this group has like 1 million plus followers on YouTube. They're, they do 70s, 80s. And, they had to cancel their whole concert because of what's going on in our country. And if that's not a red flag to stand up, hey, then I don't know what it is. We're called to stand for humanity, stand for what's right, stand for peace, stand for love. And that's why I'm out here and I do these podcasts and I do these videos because, I'm called to be a light in this world. I'm called to educate, to now share my knowledge of the world and what's going on, So we have to continue to do this. We have to continue to be a light. We have to continue to be difference makers in the world because, you know, so many people, as we saw in 2020, so many people were lulled to sleep and fell in line, hook, line, and sinker. And I don't care who you are or where you were from. So many people, clinged to the every word of, a news reporter or to the every word of some fake, yes, fake health official like Bill Gates, who has nothing to do with health, who's inhumane. Yes. So what we need to do is we need to continue to be out there, be a light, educate people, stand up for what's right, take a stand, and, pay no attention to the distractions. Distractions, they're gonna throw this, that, and the other at you. And you need to be alert to understand what is really going on, what's happening, the truth as to what's going on in the world, and be out there sharing it and, saying, hey, look, this isn't right. I don't stand for it. This is where I stand, and things will, change. We have the power to radically change this world. We're called to radically change and be different makers, difference makers. We have to be out there, now is not the time to be silent when things are going on. And I'm all about out there, being out there, enjoying your life, doing what you want to do with your life. Of course, that is great. That is incredible. But we also need to be alert. We need to, uh, be well educated as to what's really happening and to be able to see through what is truth and what is not truth, and that's where it takes you having the proper mindset. You've been able to comprehend what's going on in the world. You've been able to stand and be a light in this world because, the more people that get it, the more people that wake up, you know, uh, the better future we can have here because, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in another one of these situations like 2020 where so many people fought and so many people complied, so many people, fell for all their tactics because it was tactics. I mean, when you have game books, when you have game plans for this, when you have scenarios for this, then you have to say, hey, look, that's not right. For people to be playing with people's lives and having scenarios and this, that, and the other, and trying to, force, mandate vaccines, to shove, experimental jabs down people's throats. That's not right. Not at all, you know, and and first off, our medical information is private. It's through HIPAA, it's HIPAA violation for them to ask medical information, and, uh, so we, the people need to be alert, be focused, and educate others and be a light in this world. That's what it takes. That's what it takes is we need to be difference makers. So when we're out there in society, when we're out there doing what we, do, remember that you can radically change, this world, somebody's life, you name it, just by who you are, just by what you stand for, just by sharing the truth. That is what we can do, because there are some things that are out of our control. Like, for instance, me not being able to go to this concert in Pennsylvania because it was canceled last second. We can't control that. That's out of our control. But we can say, hey, well, that didn't happen. So what can I do? And that led me over here to Myrtle Beach to enjoy the day, So every situation is just that. It's a situation, so how you deal with it makes a big difference in your own life, makes a big difference in others' lives. And we, who understand, fully comprehend what's going on in the world, we can be that change that this world needs, because there is no going back to the way things were because they've already pushed forward so much and are pushing forth their agenda that we have to now more than ever stand against this and say, hey, look, no, this isn't right. We don't want this. We don't want to live in a world like this. We don't want to live in a authoritarian ruled, dystopian nightmare. So we want to be able to go to the beach. We want to be able to enjoy ourselves. We want to be able to, go hang out with friends. We want to be able to do this, that, and the other, so that's what it takes. It takes us, out there standing up, being a light, being alert, sharing truth and standing on truth. Because, we're not called to, fall for their tricks. We're not called to participate in their tricks. We're not called to be, slaves to the system, slaves to the puppet masters, so to speak, that are the ruling class. No, we're not. We're not. We have our own lives. We have the ability to stand up ourselves. We have the, means to take care of ourselves, to be a light, to be educated, and to stand up for humanity and for this world. Because we, who understand what's going on in the world, have to be the, better person, because so many people who are sucked into the lie, they are part of the problem. They are the ones, who are ushering in this totalitarianism, this, world that we don't want to live in. So we have to educate. We have to be, arm ourselves, and we have to, come to people with understanding, saying, hey, look, this doesn't add up. This is what's going on. It doesn't add up. And just hit them with common sense facts. That's what it takes. Common sense facts. And when we hit them with common sense facts, then, they at least have the opportunity, the chance to potentially wake up and, believe in the same things that we believe in, and to stand for humanity and stand for all that is right in the world. Because, that's what it takes. That is what it takes. Unity, people standing together, and, not being sucked into nonsense, not being, part of a divide and conquer strategy that doesn't work. We're stronger together. We're stronger united. We have the power to be united. We have the power to be a light in this world. So let's use that power and let's stand up. Let's be a light in this world. That's what it takes. That is what it hands down takes. And, I'm glad that I can come and, bring this message and interview people from all over, and, take a stand, share truth, because, I am someone who cares about humanity and knows that I'm called to stand for humanity, so that is what it takes. That's hands down what it takes. And I know that, anyone listening, the ones that understand what's fully going on in the world, you can relate. And the ones that don't, hopefully you will wake up and see what's really going on, because, now is the time. Now is when we are called to take a stand. We can't sit back anymore. We can't just, say, hey, I'm okay with this, because there's no reason why we should be okay with this, because we don't want to live in, George Orwell, 1984, mass surveillance state. We don't want to live in Agenda 2030. That's their plan, not our plan. That's their plan. And so what are we called to do? Stand against their plan. Hands down, stand against their plan. And, stand for humanity. Be there for each other. Do what's right in this world. That's what it takes. Hands down. And we will see the difference. Much love to everyone. Peace out. Take care.